how they
money.
attract power, and how they earn respect.
Respect you all. What's going on? Joel Sylvain, my man, 50 grand from the boogie down Brooklyn in the house. How you doing?
Brooklyn is in the house, and Brooklyn is fired up, brother. Brooklyn is so fired up. I mean, I have to get this off my chest, but I definitely want to first introduce you, my partner in crime, Mr. Kevin Carr, Mr. Career Crossover.
All right. I
CEO
appreciate
of Pro
that.
to CEO, Kevin Carr.
We are.
Mr. Transition.
Yes, sir.
This is in light of, sports and entertainment news. I'm so flabbergasted. And, when is enough going to be enough? I'm telling you, this is the major power move right now. The major power move is for us to truly be united, truly put ourselves in prayer, but truly hold these law enforcement officers accountable to the same level as a civilian, because you can't, if a person is screaming for air and breath, you need to let them go. Like, you already have him under constraints, but yet you decide that you want to just neglect him as if he's nothing. This is outrageous. And, that's the reason why this platform, Power Moves, is so important, because economically, we're being taken advantage because we don't have the economic power and we are not united. And it's not only a domestic front, but when we all become united internationally, which I can't wait to bring in our guest and introduce him, but this is what's happening. And, I just had to kind of get that off my chest, because this is, a couple weeks ago, Ahmad, this is enough.
Yeah, man. I can't even tell you the details so deep, because we were just hearing of this afternoon here in America. Certainly, another man of color, African American man, especially, has lost his life today at the hands of law enforcement. There will be some that says, "Hey, we don't know what he did to put himself in that situation." We can clearly see the man is apprehended with 4 people around him. So we know that it looks like they have him under control, but to put him in a position where the guy's knee is on his neck for several minutes and the guy's saying, "I cannot breathe," this is, the gentleman, Eric, help me out, partner. The gentleman, I Can't Breathe campaign.
Oh, George Floyd. George Floyd is his name.
Yeah, so it's certainly a challenging situation here.
Oh, yeah, you talking about Eric Gardner.
Eric Gardner, excuse me, you all.
Yeah, in New York, yes, similar situation. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're seeing this play out, years later once again. It's almost reminiscent of this. The first thing that came to my mind when I saw the guy on the ground and his head and neck. So we condolences out to the family. We can't even begin to, say once again we see a man of color, and I will tell you that it's not probably going to be the last, as we keep seeing this happening. But you're right. We have to be united. We have to have a voice. We have to continue to be active in our surrounding community. So what this means is, wherever you live, you have to be very cognizant and really be aware that, this could happen in anybody's community and neighborhood on any given day. I've felt the pressure over the last week or two, and it brought me back to a couple things when I saw him. There's another incident of a brother who was at the park and told a lady she should put her dog on a leash, and she immediately said that she was offended because he addressed her and thought he threatened her when he said that, and he said he didn't. He just said,
yeah, her name is Amy. Her name is Amy Cooper.
Yeah, so we saw
with the dog, and she was mistreating the dog. This is, but we're going to stand up, and we're going to let people know that this is enough. And by the way, call the DA 612-348-5550. His name is Mike Freeman. That not only should be fired, but they need to be charged and arrested immediately. And this is the information passed on by Sean King. But yeah, the lady Amy Cooper is lying right then and there, and she's calling 911. So,
her company did release her, and she did issue apology. Certainly, once again, open season. It seems like on men of color, and we're not saying nobody's doing anything that, from a law standpoint. Sometimes there are people who are not within the law, and certainly that police can stop you, but they just cannot stop. And literally, we can clearly see, in this incident, the man is subdued, and for him to go out like that it just is another reflection of where we are as society. And it's still sad to see this, man. It's very troubling. So
yeah, and I believe, I'm not 100% sure because I don't have direct contacts to Captain Jack, but he called him twin. I think that's supposed to be his older brother or something along those lines. So
is that right?
Our prayers are definitely with Captain Jack in this situation, and whatever he needs, we here at Power Moves, we have his support 150%. Bottom line. And then in other news, this weekend was a beautiful weekend for the send off of Andre Harrell, which our guest knows him very well as well. They actually had a funeral service for him. I'm so grateful. A couple of my associates shared with me some of the pictures of him being buried, and they had a great service for him. And then the following day, there was a Champagnes and Bubbles virtual party hosted by DJ Cassidy and O'Neal McKnight, his cousin, Rodney. And also that same Sunday night, BET did a great tribute. There was a couple of little glitches here and there, but I'm gonna focus on the positive, which it was a great tribute by all the people that spoke. And also Versus on the I don't know if you heard about Versus, but we had a sound clash of 489,000 people worldwide checked out Beanie Man versus Bounty Killer. And that was extraordinary.
Wow,
so for
the
numbers. For the Caribbean nation, we stood up. Everybody that had any type of Caribbean roots was definitely praising
Shout out to Antigua. What's up, my people?
Antigua, that's right.
Half. What's going on?
DJ Clark Kent, Panamanian roots was going off, was going crazy. Batwan, from Vibe Magazine, editor-in-chief. It was just a beautiful night. Major hype. Everybody was just excited. Also, interesting news, our girl, Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce with the remix, they came in at #1 in Billboard charts. Savage, great marketing, great stuff. And last but not least, my boy Mark Byers over at Motown signed the first African artist to Motown, first African artist directly from the motherland. So with that being said, do you have anything to add for the sports?
Man, we're seeing movement about planning. There's talk of the NBA playing games in Florida, specifically down the street, as they say, in Orlando, because we're in Tampa.
Right.
And then the NHL has released a 2014 playoff plan if the season resumes, and baseball as well. Looks like sports is trying to figure it out. There'll be no fans watching the games live, but certainly this country certainly wants to see its sports, and the sports leagues are sparing no intellectual capital to figure out how they will come about. I think I see it happening. We're not sure exactly yet on what's the perfect scenario. I've heard some, things about other entertainment venues like, Disneyland in China. I think it's Hong Kong or Tokyo or one of them, having a best practice on how they open. I think some of those things they're doing over there are being looked at. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But overall, let's get into our guest, man. Come on, I'm ready for my brother from the motherland to come on.
So Troy, our guest is a native of Philadelphia, and trust me, anything Philadelphia related in sports, this man is bananas, fanatic, ridiculous. He's a graduate of Howard University, the HU, the Bison. He's a full-service lifestyle marketing specialist within the urban and multicultural millennial marketplaces. He's ran several divisions for Sony Music for 10 plus years, responsible for the marketing and promoting of great artists such as the Michael Jackson, Sade International, Shabba Ranks International, Luther Vandross, Snoop Dogg, and others. He's been a marketing specialist for over 30 years. He started White House Marketing in 1994. He has a full range of media services from everything from PR, urban think tank, product placement, image consulting, event planning, advertising. The man got like 8 jobs, man. His client base have included Adidas, Atlantic Records, BET, Coke, Carver Bank, Diddy, EA Sports. I mean, you name it, U.S. Navy, Senator Hillary Clinton, Obama. I mean, he moved to Nairobi in 2015, jumped on in, became senior creative executive over Africa's largest experimental agency, EXP. And his clients there include Coke, Safaricom, Unilever, East African Brewing, and so many others. So I'd like to welcome to the show of Power Moves, Mr. Troy White in the house.
Cheers, my brother.
Welcome to the show.
Yes. Can you hear me well?
We hear you loud and clear, man. Love the outfit, baby.
I
had to represent, straight from the motherland, Nairobi. One of the most beautiful, not one of the most, but it is the most beautiful place in the world, man. I'm very well at home there. Not there now. And that's a little story. I'm in London now. I've been here for now 3.5 weeks because of the whole COVID thing.
Sure.
We'll get into that because that kind of fits into some of the questions you guys have for me.
Yeah, speaking
I want to
COVID.
thank you guys for having me. This is an unbelievable show. You guys have had some unbelievable guests, and I'm highly honored to be here. So thank you.
Man. We're so glad to have you, and thank you for the love from afar.
Yes.
Again, you're. I think you get the best outfit on the show that's ever been on. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you that. We're gonna give it to him. And then but no, man, seriously, how are you and your family doing during these COVID times? Briefly give us an update. Everybody's good?
Yeah, no, we're good, man. My kids and my family live here. And my son, I feel bad for him because he's graduating from high school, was supposed to do the whole prom thing and graduation. You bust your behind for 12 years and, you look forward to that and then, wow, you don't get it. But the beautiful thing, though, he's attending the great Mecca of all universities, Howard University. HU, in August. So that's a big thing. So he misses out on his high school graduation and prom, and he missed out on the latter part of his basketball season and his baseball season, and he was really looking forward to doing that too, finishing strong, and he didn't get a chance to do any of that. So but he's in good spirits and he's feeling good, and he's just looking forward to going to Howard and whooping behind. And my daughter has been doing homeschool, and working on her singing and acting and all that kind of stuff from her bedroom. So that's been really interesting. Talk to herself and sing to herself all day.
Right.
Come in and be like, well, I work with so and so maybe you should do. And she's looking at me like, yeah, Dad, please. Like,
yeah. Love it. So let's jump.
Man. I talked to Barbara Streisand one time on a Broadway stage play, and we were talking about acting. Like, can I tell you some of the things she told me? She's like, eh.
Yeah. Whatever.
Wow.
Who's Barbara Streisand?
Wow. So
that was in 1950.
That's a crazy bio, and obviously the type of people, your caliber you've been around, lets us know you're a gentleman who's worked extremely hard. So who don't you know and which you made money with or helped you grow your career? So like let's dig into the Troy story. Like, how did you get to where you are, man?
Bro, well, it's a long ass story, but I'll make it
short,
quick as possible.
Right.
Started out at Howard interning. God bless Chrissy Murray. She's also a Howard grad. She introduced me to the whole CBS Records opportunity. When she graduated, she gave me the position of interning there. And then I interned at CBS Records for 3 years. And then they hired me in New York. Thank you, Don Eason, for hiring me in New York. Brought me to New York. I was straight. I graduated on a Sunday. That Monday, I'm working in New York, making a whole lot of money, working under Don Eason for Epic Records. And I learned life real quick.
Right.
Everything from the good to the bad. But it was beautiful because he was a great mentor. And I had other great mentors like Eddie Pugh and Larry Davis, Jim Chiato, a couple of other white cats. But mainly brothers that just literally, I was blessed that they took me underneath of their wings, protected me, and showed me the ins and outs of, and Hank Caldwell, oh my gosh, how could I forget Hank? And see, him and Don were like my two fathers. So always had great guys, looking over me and guiding me, and I made a lot of mistakes, but they were always there to help me, clean them up. And through music, I always believed that if you could market a record, you can market anything. And because there were no rules. So, and if there were rules, we were taught to break those rules. And
okay.
And if your idea didn't work, your boss was always quick to say, well, I'm going to get somebody in here with better ideas. So your stuff better work. So the pressure was always there, man. Like, every freaking week to make sure that your records were added, make sure that the marketing was right, making sure the tour was right, making sure everything was just pristine. And coming out of that pressure, you can freaking work anywhere, and do anything. And luckily I saw as the music industry was going on, they're starting to hire a lot of white folks to do black people jobs. And these companies, the radio stations are starting to merge, and they're starting to hire white consultants to program black radio. And then they're hiring white people to run black divisions. I was like, they squeezing us out of this joint. Like, they need us soon. And luckily I saw that freaking early. So I left Sony in 95 and then did just consulting in the music industry. And then from there, because I believe that you can market a record, you can give me a rock, you can give me a flower, you can give me a nice whiskey, and I'll market it. And I'll market it better than anyone else. And I'm going to do things that no one else has thought of. So I always believe that you have to work within your superpower. And I think God has given superpowers to everyone. Even a homeless person has some superpowers. And my superpowers are creativity, and I'm a people person. So I've always been blessed to be able to work within those two realms,
So I'm happy you mentioned that with that superpower, because in this COVID environment, you need a superpower to generate money and revenue. So how are you making money and revenue, during this challenging time? Because in America right now, we have double digits and millions of people are unemployed, not earning any revenue. So as a person who's an entrepreneur on a global scale, what are you doing to earn money, make money?
Well, I'm gonna kind of flip this because I was kind of having this conversation a bunch of times, even before COVID, all about, in regards to Trump and the state of America. And God bless all the brothers and sisters that are getting their behinds whooped by the police every day in the States. And just all the horrible, just racist, the negative energy that's going on in the States. I'm a firm believer that, and I've always been raised this way from my mother and my father, that there's a silver lining in everything. I don't care if it's death. I don't care if it's the worst thing ever that happens to you. There's a message in there for you. And if you take that message, you can grow from it and turn it into something good. So Trump being in office, I don't want anybody to twist my words. I don't like the dude. I think he's the worst president ever. I thought Bush was the second Bush was going to be the worst ever. And I didn't think you could ever get any worse than that. And then Trump has made Bush like an A president. I don't like the cat at all. I think he's horrible.
Right.
But there's one good thing about Trump. Before the COVID thing, is that he's forced African Americans to think outside the box. And he's forcing African Americans to finally be like, yo, listen, we don't really need them. Like, we need to start working amongst ourselves. We need to start supporting our own businesses, supporting our own universities. I love the fact that the applications in historically black colleges have gone through the roof over the last 4 years. And that's strictly because people are getting slapped in the face and they're finally saying, like, listen, I don't need to go to Harvard, Yale, or Princeton, or Columbia, or Penn, or any of those universities. We've got
or even University of Virginia.
Right. Wow, my man taking shots.
I'm just saying.
But finally we're realizing, like, we have our own greatness. So why not support our own doctors and lawyers and accountants and small mom and pop businesses and universities? And this whole energy is finally forcing us to do that. Now, the next step is for people like myself and damn near thousands of others before me, and are doing it right now, people who have kind of jumped over the pond and gone to the motherland and created opportunities there. And it's causing people, so many of my friends, literally the day Trump won the election, I posted a picture of my house. This is so funny, on Facebook and Instagram. And I was like, well, if anybody's interested in coming now, we got a couple bedrooms. And I got flooded. Like, cats like, yo, I'll be there tomorrow. Like, And then people who were laughing at me like, dude, why the hell would you leave Harlem? Like, Harlem's hot and you guys were doing great and this, why would you leave America? Like, and go to Africa? Like, are you crazy? Right. And these are black people, And now, a lot of those people that were like, yo, you crazy, are like, hey, Troy, tell me some more about this Africa.
Tell me some more. That's awesome.
They turn it around, right?
Positive around. That's the only positive thing about him being in office, is bringing us together.
Love it. So, man, just, I'm curious, and I think a lot of people are as well, is, you talk about being over in Africa, how can a person do business internationally like you've done there? I mean, I think there are some people who are saying, the brother's talking a lot of sense, and we have such a global society where we can see stuff going on virtually, but how do you do it? And what are some of the things you've learned how to do business internationally that are different that people would have to get used to?
Well, first of all, if you're an entrepreneur, you got big, what. So you gotta have these, whether or not you're male, female, whoever. You gotta have these. If you have these, being able to jump from one country to another or one continent to another is not going to be that hard. If you're very structured and you're very kind of like this and very rigid and everything has to be, that's going to be hard to do, because it's hard to predict what's going to happen. We didn't really know what was going to happen, but I knew And we knew that things were going to work out because of the talent that we had. You know, I can put me in Antarctica. I know I can make some shit happen in Antarctica. You know,
right?
That's the entrepreneur in me, and that's the creativeness that God has blessed me with, and my record industry experience. You know, and the hustle that my parents taught me. You know, and we all had that. All of us got the hustle's born in us. You know, we the most hustling, hardworking people on the earth. So
right.
I think it's very easy for us to make that transition from parts of the States to the Caribbean or to Africa, you know, to create opportunities with our expertise that we already have. I didn't know anyone once I got to Nairobi. I didn't know one person. Now I ended up knowing people that knew people, but I didn't know anybody. I've been there now 6 years, and I feel like I've been there for 25 years. You know, so
I like what you just said right there, Troy. So I want to, because I like to kind of use this platform as almost like a master class. So because you jumped into it because it's very natural for you. But if you were to break it down, and I'm going to help lead you to this, you mentioned that when you moved down there, you did do a little preparation because you had connections, which was your network, that allowed you to, you know, even though you didn't know anybody, allowed you to transition smoothly. So can you kind of break that down, and how important is it to have a network?
Oh, well, network is, I mean, I teach my kids that, like, you know, yes, education is important, but your network within education is just as important. My son knows when he goes to Howard, 50% of it's going to be education, 50% of it's going to be life, you know. And if you walk out of education without taking that 50% of life part, you're killing yourself. If you walk out with all education, you're just going to be a book knowledge person that can't relate to people, and no one knows you, and no one's going to do anything for you. You know, you're going to be really smart, but ain't nobody going to know you really smart. Because no one's going to hire you. And you're not going to be able to pick up the phone call and make any calls. So, of course, connections are really, really important. You know, we were able to meet people before we got there, with people that were living there that came to New York, you know, had lunch with them. They laid out some stuff for us, you know, talked to people that had kids in school there, what schools to go to, what sections to live in, the whole bit. But that was all through relationships and connections. But we didn't know anyone that was living there once we got there. But those connections kind of worked everything out. And the first thing they always teach you as an expat is school. If you have kids, school is the most important thing. You find that, then you find your place, because you want your place to be near the school. Freak where you work. School's the most important, getting your kids to and from school properly without them having a 2-3 hour trip to school, you know, and then you work everything else around there, you know.
Around it.
Wow.
Well, great. Well, you know, what we're going to do is we got to get ready to go on break. So if everybody can just mute your mics, and we got to pay, you know, we got to pay our bills right now. So thank you once again. This is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, attract power, and how they earn respect. Everybody.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Hello, Kubo. What have you got planned for today?
Come on, this way.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
It's the most powerful magic there is.
Head outside to discover incredible animals.
Wow.
And beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure. So grab your loved ones and explore a world of possibilities. Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
My teacher said that we should have a plan in case of an emergency. Do we have one?
First thing I'm going to do is grab a flashlight with dead batteries.
I'm going to start randomly throwing clothes in the bag. You two will be hiding in the closet and Dad won't be able to find you.
And that's when we both start crying.
Uncontrollably. Can you pass the cutlets?
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency. Who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Search Ready Kids at nyc.gov or call 311. Brought to you by the New York City Office of Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
All right, we are back.
Yeah, we back. We're back.
All right. So yeah, man, that was interesting. The power of networking, building the relationships, even when you don't know anybody ahead of time. That was a great strategy, and that's important as people are embarking and or even considering, looking to do business or running a business outside of the States. What do you think, Kev?
Man, it's entrepreneurial time. When you think about where we are as a society, a global society, you got to have more than one thing going on. So, I mean, right now, I'd be interested in knowing, from you, when you think about where business is going and stuff, how did you take, that power that you had here and influence and in developing your own business now over there? I mean, that just seems like, just when you talk about a new unbelievable dream, that you went from one continent and then went over here and you created your own business, man. You balling. I gotta know, man. Tell us.
Bro, you go ahead, Max.
No, I was just gonna say you like an explorer.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, no doubt.
You know what though? It's so many people though have come like before me, and so that makes it easy. I was talking to a good friend of mine before we moved over there, and I'll never forget this conversation. His name is Colin Mitchell. You guys might know him. Real cool brother. He was in the music industry for a while. But Colin said to me, he was like, Troy, so what you gonna do when you get there? And I was like, I might do some consulting, open up a bar, restaurant, club, something like that. And he's like, bro, now he's been going back and forth to the continent for close to like 25, 30 years. So he says, to me, he's like, you're thinking like a regular black man. He said, when you go over there, you should think like a DuPont, you need to think like one of those type of folks. Think like much bigger, because you're going to an area in places where the sky's the limit. Like there is no ceiling. And then if you have the right connections, the right money, and the right ideas, you can basically do anything. But when you're in the States, you have so many things coming at you, stopping you. Oh, well, gosh, there's 10,000 other white boys that have more money, and their fathers are this, and their grandfathers are that, and they're going to block me from this, and this rule, and this regulation, and this, and they're going to stop me, and that. You got all that coming at you, and stunning your creativity and your energy to make things happen. When you go over there, you just feel free. Like, yo, I can freaking do anything. Shit, I've never built a road before, but now I want to build some roads. I've never put up street lights before, but they don't have street lights. Let me hook up with my man that does street lights in Atlanta, bring him here, and let's line the pavement with street lights. Like, Infrastructure stuff you never get the opportunity to do, entertainment things that you would never get a chance to do, just on all levels, it's open. It's open. And, I find that there's going to be haters everywhere you go. So I don't really freaking care about haters, but I find people over there to be very welcoming to African Americans, as long as you're humble and as long as you're not coming with that American attitude of, oh, I'm American, I know more than you, bow to me, and all that kind of crazy crap.
Right.
And, African Americans really aren't like that, because we know what that's like. We know how people have treated us. So when we travel abroad, we tend to not treat people like that, So as long as you do that, you get love. 95%.
That's awesome.
And that
so
shit,
on the flip side,
you're still not gonna get any love from anybody.
That's right. So on the flip side, let's talk about your journey. Like, you are a very affable guy. I mean, everybody loves Troy.
I can name a couple that might have.
Right.
Just a couple.
But can you share? I mean, conflict is inevitable, right? Can you share a time in which you had a challenging situation and you had to pull all of your superpowers and make a power move to make something happen?
There were some in the music industry that I could tell that are really interesting, but I'll save that for a book.
Trust me, Troy. I know what you mean, because you dealt with some divas.
Yeah. Bring the divas gangsters. The divas were cool. It was the gangsters that I had to deal with. Then there was one really big story in politics that could be a whole show that you could cover. But we won't delve into that one either. But that can be Google. But I'll go into one. That one could. I'll go into one more recently. When I was working at EXP in Nairobi, there's this place called the Capitol Club, and it's kind of like the Soho House of Africa. And all the executives and all the dignitaries and politicians, they're all members, and you have to be a member in order to even be in there. So it's very staunchy African elite type of thing. But there's the Brits kind of run it. So there was this the general manager is a British white dude who's like 6'7", about 3 pounds, very bossy kind of cat. But he and I ended up being really cool. But in this meeting, I'm pitching to them. It's me. I'm sitting at this end of the table. He's sitting at the other end. And then there are Kenyans on both sides of the table. And he's like, well, Troy, we want to have this anniversary party. And, I'm thinking the theme should be like a British king and queen type of theory, royalty. That should be the theme, like a British royalty type of theme. So everybody sitting to my left and right are like, yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I really want this account. But I'm like, nah, I can't let him get away with this. Like, this shit. We in Africa. So the HU came out in me. So I was like, I would not be able to sleep tonight if I don't let this brother know what's on my mind. So I was like, my man, listen, I think that's an okay idea. But do you know the first kings and queens actually really come from this continent? From Egypt and Kemet. And we are in Africa. So, and the Brits, used to rule Kenya, but they don't anymore. African club with people that look more like me than British people. So how about if we flip that idea? And everyone, even my colleague was sitting there like, oh shit, we done lost this account. I was like, how about we flip that idea and we make it an Egyptian Kemet type of theme? So it's more natural to where we're at, you know. And then he sat back, crossed his hands like this, and he crossed his legs, and he didn't say anything for about 3-4 minutes. So everyone's sitting at the table like, oh my gosh, nobody's ever spoke up against him before. And then he leans forward and he goes, good idea. And and then everybody goes, yeah, good idea. I'm like, yo, why didn't y'all have my back before I said that shit?
Because, Troy, they did not have the cojones. Oh my gosh.
But it ended up being one of the best parties that they've ever had there. I totally flipped that thing out, and everyone was extremely happy, and I ended up getting a lot of business from that event and party, and I'm very proud of that. That is one of the many stances I've taken, you know, against the trend, and you know, it doesn't work all the time, but that was
right.
Awesome. So, you know, talk to us about, you know, developing a brand position when you think about marketing and social media. It's really what's driving everything, particularly in this age, having a huge presence in how people are getting everything done. You know, what ideas can you help, you know, our audience, you know, particularly the individuals who are interested in developing their own, you know, superpower brand? We keep saying superpower. So how can you help them in that space?
You know what? Okay, it's real easy for me to say, oh, well, you know, you study the different social media genres and all that kind of stuff. I'm more of a natural, organic type of person. So my thing is being able to feel, taste, touch, hear, and just vibe things. So my secret has always been coaching. It just works for me. Even when I was in New York and I was running my agency and stuff, I coached for the Harlem Jets and for Harlem Little League. Coaching to me kept my ears and my energy close to the streets and close to what's going on and what's hot, what the kids are, you know, because everything starts in our community. Every freaking thing starts in our community. And it starts with our kids. So I never have to sit at a boardroom table and someone say something and then everyone's like, oh, Google such and such. And I'm like, put your phones down. Put your phones down. This is and it's not because I had to Google it or study it. It's because I live it. So what I'm saying is that if you're going to be good at this, you have to live it. You know, I go out a lot. I keep late nights. I never go to bed before 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I'm always up. I'm a gamer. So I'm online. I'm chatting with people. I'm listening to music, and every night since I've been here, my son and I have been staying up to 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning, and one night he's the DJ and he's playing me all his music and turning me on to stuff, and then the next night I'm turning him on to stuff, you know, and we're going back and forth, but I'm learning, I'm digesting, I'm taking in his culture, you know, and that is the secret, you know, and then along with that comes the whole social media. I don't understand marketing executives that don't have an IG account or a Snapchat account or a Twitter account. Like, how can you do marketing in this day and age and not have an account? Like, that just boggles my mind how you're not living on social media, because that's where your consumer is, you know. And you need to be concerned with what your consumer is saying every day, because the energy's changing every day. You know, so you have to go to clubs. You have to go out. You know, when I travel, I'm always like, yo, okay, cool, this is nice. Take me to the hood, you know, and I'll get one of my old time street team guys to take me around. Like, yo, take me to the grittiest, grimiest spot. I want to eat. Then I want to hit a bar. Then I want to hit a club, and I want to hang out, and I want to do like what my people are doing. I don't need to go to the, you know, the 5-star, you know, $1,000 bottle spot, which I also do.
Right.
You know, you gotta live that too. You know, but you have to live the life. And if you don't, then you're cutting yourself short.
Love it.
That's very, you know, it's so important, because that's how hit records are made, right? is by knowing exactly what people are feeling in the streets, because you could talk their language. If you're not talking their language, then you out the mix. Period.
Yep.
Now you those are great tips you just mentioned right there.
That was the quickest way that I got into the Kenyan culture, was by coaching. First thing I did before I even got a job, I started a basketball foundation. That's the first thing I did when I got there. And then I went into, with the help of one of my coaches, Coach Chester, who's the greatest freaking scout I've ever been around in my life. I've got like 5'7" to 7'3" players that are 15 and 16 years old. And this guy's found them all around Kenya. But that's another story.
Wow.
Hooked up with him.
Well, you know, Kevin Carr is the former NBA executive. So,
yeah, Kev, I have notes on the side that we're gonna have to talk about after this call, bro.
Yeah, we might have to call up NBA Africa. My man, Paul down there. Let them know what's going on. And
the first thing I did was start that, because it got me away into the Kenyan culture. I was going into the slums, and I was just vibing with the players and the coaches and their families, and it was freaking like a rush of information that I was able to take in, years of information within a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Just by going into the hoods and being with these kids and talking to their families and their friends, and just taking in information and downloading everything. You know,
that's huge.
That helped me out tremendously, like a lot.
What you got to say, Kev?
No, man, I'm sitting here thinking like, if I had to drop another thing on you, man, tell us what it's like in terms of you've been by some incredible people here in America, and one of the most impressive individuals, in my opinion. You have a picture with President Obama. Now, what did you do? Because we talk about this respect thing on our show here. What did you do to earn his respect, and how has that changed your life to have a president as somebody who respects you?
Well, it actually so as I've said several times, I always believed that if you can market a record, you can market anything. So a good friend of mine, before I even met Obama, turned me on to Mayor Bloomberg in New York. And he was like, hey, Troy, they're going to need a guy like you for when he's running. And I was like, yo, he's a Republican. Now, I'm a independent-leaning Democrat. And I would kill myself if I ever helped a Republican get into office. He's like, nah, Troy, you need to listen to his policies. And on the side, bro, he's really a Democrat, but don't tell nobody.
Wow.
So I looked at his policies and what he was trying to do, and I was like, yo, I could get down with this cat. You know, so I worked on his campaign, did African-American Hispanic outreach. And basically, it was the shortest meeting I've ever had for the most amount of money that I made.
That's how Bloomberg works.
No, seriously, I was sitting there and I was like, hey, and I want to market you almost like you're a rapper or a hot liquor brand or hot bears, sneakers. I want to shrink wrap some vehicles. I want to have street teams. I want to take you around to like Hot 97 and Funk Flex and all the mix show DJs. And I want to take you around a couple clubs, get you some shout outs, the whole bit, da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, how much is it going to cost? I told him. He was like, sounds great. Good. So then in my mind, I'm like, yeah, and and then God tapped me on the shoulder and was like, dude, shut up.
It's over.
Like, you got this. I was like, this is impossible that this happened so quickly. And he was like, all right, sounds good, do it. So anyway, did it. We ended up breaking records in New York for African Americans and Hispanics turning out to vote for a Republican. Then they hired me again. So then after that, I did some work with the Clinton Foundation. Then I worked on Hillary Clinton's campaign as a senator twice in New York. Then worked on the Clinton Foundation, Bill Clinton Foundation. And then that led me, from working with all of that and doing those things, that led me into someone turning me on to Obama when he was running for Senate. And you guys know I used to have these big parties and gatherings in New York. So they were like, yo,
yes,
we want to bring him to New York, And want you and some of your friends to have a fundraiser. So a good friend of mine turned me on to the opportunity, and I was down with that, and we raised a gang of money for him in New York when he was running for Senate. The funny thing is, there were so many people that I tried to get to come to pay for that event. They were like, there's no way, and these are black folks, there's no way a brother named Barack Hussein Obama is going to win as a senator in Chicago. He might win Cabrini Green, but that's it. And then these people later ended up being huge contributors to him after he became president.
Right.
Hey, so where was that party at in New York? I'm curious because I went to one. Where was it at?
It was in Harlem. It was in Harlem.
No. The one for Obama was downtown at, like, was it at the Supper Club or
Meat Packing?
No. Oh my gosh.
I believe I was at that one because I remember it was such a big deal, and everybody was waiting for him to come.
Yeah.
And we were waiting for him to come and waiting. Mm-hmm. And boom, he shows up smooth.
That's when his hair was all out.
Yeah, before he became president.
Before he came. And he was smooth. He killed that night.
Yeah,
he was a freaking rock star that night.
He was. Absolutely. It was mesmerizing. So cool, man. Good stuff. Wonderful.
So ended up working on several things for him through his candidacy, which was, freaking great. The first time he met me, I had on one of my crazy ass outfits, and he was like, "You're not really in politics, but you do something to help politics, right?" We're on the elevator, and I was like, "Exactly." I was like, "I'm helping you become what you want." And then he turned to his boy Reggie Love. He was like, "Get this guy's number. Get this guy's number."
Reggie Love, the Duke guy. I don't like Duke guys, but Reggie's cool. Reggie's cool.
Yeah.
No doubt. Man, we are sitting here trying to figure out, like, how can we get to the motherland? Now, me and you had a conversation earlier, and I'm curious on, all the people you got a chance to work with. I mean, you've earned respect with Diddy. You've earned respect with, huge names. How did you get that over there in Africa? How did you get your respect over there? Do you feel like you're there, or are you still growing it?
It's wild. I never expect respect. I always feel like I haven't done shit. And that gives me my fire to prove to people that I can do what I can do.
So humility.
I never walk in a room, unless you ask me, "So, Troy, what have you done?" Then I'm going to tell you. But I'm always start off with what I can do for you. But I never feel like, I literally feel like I've done this much in life. And I think that gives me my youthfulness, it gives me my energy, it gives me that fire to be able to work, 72 hours straight and still laugh and not feel it the next day. When I went to Nairobi, I was like, yo, this is a new place. Nobody freaking knows me, and they may not care what the hell I've done. So I've got to prove to these people that I'm a good person first. I'm a man of my word, and I do what I say that I can do. And I can do it better than anybody that they know. That's
all right. So hold that thought, because we're gonna wrap up in 3 minutes. So we got to make sure you get your commercial in.
Yes, sir.
And we have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's asked, what can an American do to earn $50,000 a year in Nairobi? You got 30 seconds to answer that question.
The hell? Well, as an entrepreneur or working for a corporation?
Whatever, man. You got like less than 30 seconds.
Let me take the easy route then, because you got me on that one. There's lots of corporations over there. The same corporations that are in the States are in Nairobi. There's Coke. They have a Safaricom is like Verizon and AT&T. They're always hiring, people who are great. Safaricom, I'll make a little commercial for this, they were the first people to invent mobile money, and it's called M-Pesa. And they did it maybe like about 14, 15 years ago. So Africans, Kenyans invented mobile money, not Apple Pay, not Chase Pay, None of that. It came out of Kenya. But there are multinational companies there that are always looking to hire, good talent. So in 50,
all right.
Good.
So now, Troy, we got less than a minute. It's your time to shine. I know we didn't get a chance to touch on your companies that you got.
My virtual reality and my gaming company.
Yeah, so this is your time, man. Make it happen.
All right, cool.
How do people get to you? And
all right, cool. Listen, so right now I'm working on. I'm the MD for a company called Digital Self, which is a virtual reality company based out of London. I'm the MD for Africa and for the States, and we're responsible for taking entertainment and sports and arts and culture and college to the next plateau. Especially, and Kevin, this is what we need to talk about also. We want to create this experience for the upcoming seasons for the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey, because just watching that stuff on the television, yeah, that's nice. But having a virtual experience or having a 2D 360 augmented type of experience is taking that experience to the next level. And that's where everything is headed, especially with this whole COVID. We're going to have 20 other COVIDs down the road. So we're going to have to get used to having these virtual type of experiences. And I'm glad to be in a position where I'm working with a company that is helping to lead the way in entertainment and marketing and in branding in regards to the whole virtual and where we're taking this to with the next level. I'm excited about it, and also have a company called Kifaru that's a gaming company that's based out of Nairobi, and we have a relationship with Rock Nation. We just did a game for Jay Park, who's the largest Asian rapper in the world. We did a dance game, a mobile dance game for him, and we just submitted that, and they're going to release that game with his album when they release his album. So gaming and virtual reality, that's what I'm working in right now, and I still do events.
Man, that's why we got you on here. Amazing stuff. I'm coming back at you because I love all those ideas. What a enterprising and cool companies you got, multiple ones. You hear that, y'all? 2 and 3 things going on. That's how we do it on Power Move.
Oh, you got to. You have to.
All right.
Well, you got to have that extra hustle.
That's right. Well, thank you very much, Troy, for a great show. And is there a website? How can people follow you in 10 seconds?
All right. Troy Philly White on IG, or you can hit me at tphillyw@icloud.com, or you can hit me at Philly Troy White on Twitter. So you can hit me on all 3 of those joints, and I communicate with everyone, so I will definitely get back with you.
Amazing communicator you are, man. We are blessed to have you. See how that technology brought us to Africa, to America. We love you, man. Appreciate you, all you do.
Joel and Kevin,
thank you,
guys, man. No, thank you, guys. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate your time and opportunity.
Thank you, and enjoy London.
Yes.
All right, we out.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
HU! Go Eagles!